The incubation stage was mainly caused by Fulgencio Batista. Batista was the previous president, but he planned on becoming the president a second time, so much so that he rigged the election to stop Fidel Castro from winning.
In 1952, now a practicing lawyer, Fidel ran as a candidate for the Orthodox Party, an anti-corruption coalition. Cuba's hero of independence, José Martí, inspired the movement. The election never took place. General Batista, who had been in power before, staged a coup to prevent an Orthodox Party victory.
He changed the 1940 Constitution, gave away money to the United States, and the rich became richer as the poor got even poorer. Fidel Castro planned to strike against the biased ruler. Castro had needed weapons and men. He headed to attack the Moncada barracks to provide both and succeed in the revolution.
Fidel Castro had had enough, so he planned an attack on the Moncada barracks in Santiago de Cuba with 160 other soldiers. The attack failed because they lost the element of surprise. Over 100 of the soldiers were captured and sent to jail, including Castro. Castro, being a lawyer, defended all of the soldiers and himself in court. He then gave his "History will absolve me" speech. With the great speech, they were only sentenced to 15 years in prison. But Batista decided to release some of the political prisoners, so Castro only had to serve for 3 years. He headed to Mexico when he got out, where he met Che Guevara, who helped him in organizing a rebel army. About 17 months passed, and they had an army of about 120 men, and enough supplies and guns, so they set sail for Cuba.
After about a week in the Granma, they neared Cuba but were spotted by one of Batista's helicopters. They landed in Playa de los Colorados, and because it was so swampy, they had issues unloading their cargo. They grouped up in a forest and set out for an army outpost, but were led into an ambush. Many were killed. The survivors fled to the mountains and regrouped. There were only 12 men left. But using guerrilla tactics, they took over the outpost. They got much-needed weapons and supplies, but more important, they got supporters. Some of the supporters tried to assassinate Batista, but were caught and executed. At that point, the U.S. stopped shipping guns to Batista. Castro asked the public to revolt as a whole. Batista sent 10,000 men to take out Castro's 300, but Castro and his men held their ground and won. A chain of plane hijacking started, and in December of 1958, Santa Carla is taken over. Finally, they achieve their goal. Batista leaves the country.
After Batista left the country, Castro became president. As president, he made many changes. He provided equality to blacks and women. He also wanted to improve some aspects of Cuba, like its hospitals and education system. Castro made sure that every child had the opportunity to learn. He kept control with informant committees for the defense of the revolution, or CDR. The CDR kept records of outside contacts and spending habits. Many Cubans disliked Castro and moved to Miami to get away. Pressure was put on the U.S. to uphold its trading embargo with Cuba.